Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be going through the first couple phases of the customer life cycle, of the customer journey. As for those of you that saw my post, those first three steps are market, convert, and then grow. There's tons of sub pieces within each of those, and so I'm going to try to keep it more holistic and then touch on a couple key things. For those of you that maybe have questions afterwards about specific areas, please comment and let me know. So I'm just going to dive right into it. So first thing is the marketing. The first touch point that someone has with your brand or your organization. This is extremely crucial, extremely critical that that message, that image, that visual, the story you're telling resonates with that person. Otherwise, that's the opportunity you've missed to potentially have them become a member. So there's two things. One, are they even seeing your brand, know who you are? And two, once they do see it, what are the actions they take? So the first thing is, are they even seeing, or do they even know who you are? And that goes back into that advertising piece. How are you reaching people? How are you attracting new people to your gym? And so along with that, the thing you have to have is you have to have a plan. What is my plan so that people know who I am, who know who what my gym is and what we're about? So unfortunately, there's not one end-all be-all solution to this. So there's the marketing strategy, there's different things that attract different people. So it's not just flyers, it's not just yards, it's not just Facebook ads, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What is my strategy to holistically see everyone? Something we're noticing specifically in the e-commerce world with like clothing and jewelry sales is that someone may see 2 or 3 different advertisements before they actually make an action. So they might see a blog about statement jewelry, and then they might see a picture of an influencer tag, and then they might see a sale or something, and then they see a 4th one, and then they finally take an action. The same is true for things that parents might see with your own organization. So perhaps they saw a yard sign on the street, maybe they saw a flyer at their school, and then all of a sudden they get hit with a Facebook ad and they're like, oh yeah, I remember blah, blah, blah gymnastics. Let's sign my kid up for this camp because it's relevant to me. So there's tons of touch points that we can point parents at. And around that, you have to have a plan with that. And oftentimes I know as gymnastics owners, we don't have a lot of time and energy to put into a plan, but it's extremely crucial. So I know with the advertising that we do, and I know some of you are also diving into your own Facebook advertising, is what's nice about it is that it can be consistently running. You don't have to constantly print off new flyers and distribute them across the whole town. You can create an ad, turn it on, and all of a sudden you're reaching everyone at the same time without having to go out to all the different places that drop off flyers. So, and with that, what we've done with our own clients is we have what's called evergreen campaigns, and then we have like seasonal or special event campaigns. So we have ads that are rolling every day, all day, year round, that are driving new traffic into the gyms, new leads into the gyms. And then we also have special event promotions. So for example, a lot of you do summer camps or spring camps or those types of special events. So we build out campaigns specifically for those to drive potential members or leads into that funnel so that our gyms can convert. Some of you might be doing the same thing with your own advertisement, which is fantastic. And what's nice about that is that it's constant. So your plan, your way of attracting new members is continuously rolling, which is extremely important. So once you kind of come up with your plan and how you mapped out like how you're going to attract people, when you're going to attract them, and start getting those people coming through your door or coming through your emails or starting to inquire, thinking about how we convert them. But before we get into that is, what is that image that they're seeing? What is the message that they're hearing? What story are they reading? So first and foremost is like, who are you as a gym? Like, what is your brand? What is your identity? A lot of you may have slogans. Your slogan might be turning athletes into champions. Your slogan might be the most fun your child will ever have. So what is that slogan? Who are you? And how is that being represented in everything you put out there into the world, on a flyer, in a Facebook ad, etc.? And this is really important, and it even goes back to as simply as what are your colors, what are your fonts, what is your vision, all those things. How is that being represented over and over and over again? So, for example, if your colors are pink and green, but on one flyer you have red and blue, and on the other flyer you have purple and yellow, and then on your ads you have pink and orange, there's not a consistency with who you are, and oftentimes people won't resonate with that. So if I see the same brand over and over and over again, all of a sudden it becomes imprinted in who I am, and I start understanding more and more about that organization. So Nike, we know that Nike is the swoosh and it has the just do it, and we know that because of constantly being reminded of who they are and what they do. So thinking about, asking yourself that question, like, who are we, and what is that image we're putting out there? Are we consistent with our brand, our colors, our imagery? If we're a competitive gym, are we putting pictures out of kids doing rolling somersaults and not sure how to do cartwheels? Or are we putting out pictures of athletes that have turned into champion level, and the vice versa? Are we trying to attract new recreational level athletes, but we're branding them with competitive athletes that are 18 and on their way to playing or competing in the collegiate level? So thinking about what is that image and how does it connect with my brand. The next thing is the message, and what are we saying? What are the words and the verbiage that we're using? And this all ties into the image as well. So if you have an image of a competitive athlete, competitive gymnast, and she's standing on the podium, and the headlines of your ad says tumble bugs for ages 3 to 5, does that message and that image resonate together? And it's hard. Oftentimes it's hard. We have to take a step back and look and say, okay, if I had never heard of gymnastics, I had never heard of anything to do with this, and I'm a mom or a dad, does this message resonate with me? Does it resonate with my children? So, and I think also thinking about the messages, you have to ask questions, what am I trying to get the user to do? What am I trying to get the mom to do? If you're using a Facebook ad, for example, and she's scrolling, and she sees your ad, what is the goal of that ad? What is the message saying to her to do? So if the message is sign up for Tumblebugs, and then the button says shop now, do those resonate together? Probably not. So thinking about what is my call to action and what is the message that I'm telling, and how that ties in with the imagery. So thinking about that in like the Facebook ad side specifically, this is an example I pulled from Google of kind of the different pieces within a Facebook ad. So what are the main things that we're looking to put within our ad? So some of the things for you to think about in the verbiage that you're using is, do I have an offer? So what is the offer I'm providing? And is it a free trial? Is it 10% off sibling discount? Is it a no risk free trial? Is it potentially no offer that's more like financially incentivized? Maybe it's an offer of providing a safe space for the child to participate, and then kind of twisting it that way. But thinking about what is my offer, what are the benefits, and what are the features within my gym and what I'm offering them. So a benefit might be your child will have fun. They might, for a parent, it might be that they have time, that they can go to the grocery store and drop off their kids. Like, what are those benefits? And then the features are trained coaches, clean gym, air conditioning. What are those? And separating those two things out and picking them and merging those together within your ad copy. And also thinking about what is the image in your actual ad. And we talked about this a little earlier. Is it a smiling, happy kid, or is it a really dark picture of kids that are blurry? Like, what is that imagery you're putting, and how does that tie into your brand? Like, do you want to be a brand? Do you want to be a gym that's seen as a place where kids have a happy, awesome experience? Or do you want to give you that visual of a dark, creepy gym that's like you can't see anything because it's really blurry? And you have to sometimes take a step back and look at the whole picture and think, if I had never heard about X gymnastics, this is my first experience with it. How do I want that to look, and how do I want that experience to be? So this is an example. You can go on Google and look at Facebook ad examples and kind of get more ideas. But basically the idea is like, how are these things working together? So when we think about the visual, make sure it's something that's making people stop and that can resonate with them initially, that can makes them look further. So once they see the image or the video or the visual piece, and if they like that, then they'll continue on to read your headline, your text, and then think about clicking through. So in those types of orders, think about what is an image that's going to make somebody stop, have an emotional feeling. If it's a smiling kid, immediately a mom's going to think, I want my kid to be smiling and happy. Oh, look, free trial for preschool class. Oh, cool. Preschool enrollment starts next week for the most fun your kid will ever have. Click to learn more. Oh, learn more button takes me to your website. There's a place for me to call you, email you, or sign up my kid. Beautiful. Okay. The next thing is, overall, what is the story that you're telling? So we oftentimes talk about stories, and I think we've mentioned this before, and if I were to go to any of your Facebook pages and start scrolling and all I see is basically posts about sign up for class, sign up for this class, sign up for this class, sign up for this class, 20% off, sign up for this, it becomes very sales based, and thinking about how do we mix in the story. So for example, let's say you're a gym that's really trying to attract competitive athletes. Maybe you tell the story about Gabby. Congratulations to Gabby, who took first place this weekend at the state championships. Gabby started at our program 3 years ago and has been transformed into an amazing athlete. And next year she'll be graduating and going to UCLA. That's a beautiful story. A mom or a dad can be like, oh, I want my daughter to be like Gabby. Let me sign up. Maybe you're on the other side where you really want to have a super successful or a gym that's known for lots of fun, where kids develop into strong, confident young individuals. Here's a story about Michael. Michael joined our Ninjas program 3 years ago and at first was really hesitant, but today Michael's graduating from Ninjas, top of his class, and has a new passion for gymnastics and has made a lot of new friends. So thinking about like, what are those stories in your gym and how can parents resonate that? And then also having consistency with your brand. So like I said before, if you're a gym that's based on competition, tell those competitive stories and highlight your athletes and your gym in that way so that parents can start resonating with those stories. And using those stories in your advertisements too can be really, really powerful. It's a little bit of work, but thinking about like, how can I go out and get these stories? And so maybe you send out an email to all the parents and say, hey, can you send me a testimony about your child experience? Can you send me a picture with your child with their new award and tell me about their journey? Or you might even have those stories already because you've been with that athlete for the last 3 years and you can tell that story. Start being creative about how you can share your story. And I'm telling you that the story is super, super powerful. Creating opportunities where people can resonate with you and those children and picturing their children being those children can be extremely, extremely powerful. Okay. The last thing I would say is, what do you want people to say about your gym? So if you had the phrase, blank gym is the best place for your child to become blank. So for example, Gemini Gymnastics is the best place for your child to learn and grow, period. Riverview Gymnastics is the best place for your child to become a champion, period. So, and what you want to do is that everything you create starts creating that narrative for other people that are telling stories about your gym. What you don't want to be is, oh, X gym is the best place for your child to never make friends, to not feel welcome. So thinking about like, what is the story that people are telling about you? And that's not just in the marketing, this is in the whole other side of that customer journey, which we'll talk about a little later. But think about, what is your ultimate sentence you want people to say about your gym, and start thinking about, how do I build a message, an image, a brand around that. Okay, so now we've gotten a great strategy. We have people coming through the door. Maybe we have an amazing ad on Facebook and it's sending us 50, hundreds of leads a month, whatever that is. Now, what do you do with that? We've talked a lot about this in the gymnastics group right now, is how do we convert leads? And I think it's extremely important to take a hard look in the mirror and say, who are the people that I have responsible for turning that mom into a member? So how do I, when a mom walks in my door, or a mom gives me a call, or a mom shoots me an email, what is her experience at that point? Because there's something that's drawn her to take that action from the initial brand message. But now, is the experience she has once she walks in the door, once she has a phone call, the same experience that she first had in the beginning? So let's say she sees an ad for her preschool kid, preschool enrollment's open. She's like, awesome, I want to sign my kid up. She gives your gym a call and she talks to someone, and all they do is talk about the competitive program for 18-year-olds. Is that resonating with that mother? No. So thinking about, what is that experience when she first, she or he has that first touch point where you can potentially convert that parent. So thinking about that conversion, what do we do with those people, right? So Annie's been talking about the process for conversion. So if you get a lead and you call that person once and they don't answer, are we leaving them into the wind and be like, they probably just didn't want to join anyways? Or are we being very persistent? So me personally, so with the nonprofit I run, I am constantly researching ways to attract sponsors or new marketing ideas. And there's an organization in San Diego called Classy, and they work with fundraising for nonprofits. And I found on Facebook, I got hit with an ad for top 10 ways to raise money for your nonprofit. Oh, I'm going to download that. So I downloaded it. And then I was poking around their website and a couple other things. And in that process, I had to submit my email. And since I've submitted that information, a girl named Selena has emailed me 3 times. She's called me once and she got me on the phone, but I was about to step into a meeting, so I scheduled a meeting with her the next day, which I missed. She sent me a follow-up email and a call, and now I feel like I just need to call Selena back. And I actually want to. I want to have a conversation with Selena, but I haven't had time, and she's been calling at times where I'm not available, but she's been very, very persistent at getting me to have a conversation with her and getting me to potentially become a client. And the thing is that if she would have called me once and never responded, I probably would not get back to her. But now that I have had emails with her, a phone call with her, and she's been very persistent, now I feel obligated to contact her back. And that's the experience you want to have with your parents. Remember, they reached out to you. If they've come into your gym, or they've sent you an email, or they've given you a phone call, they've made the first step. Now it's up to you to make sure that they turn around and become a member. Now we have some gyms in our own clients that are extremely successful at this. And you don't have to be a great salesman. You just have to be persistent, and you have to make sure that that message and that conversation is consistent. Because if you expect everyone that after one phone call they're gonna come running through your doors and signing up for every class, you're in la la land. You've got to take a hard look from your thing. What is my process for turning this lead into a member? Okay, it's work. It's a lot of work. And we're actually, I think Andy was talking about this the other day. We're working on a training for our own clients for that conversion process. So for those of you that are clients or potentially thinking about becoming a client with us, we're working on the conversion process, because we've identified that this is something that a lot of gyms really would benefit from. And we really want the gyms to be successful at every person that walks in your door. We want to give you the most tools possible to be successful at turning them into a member. Okay. So now we're here. We've now converted someone. They've come in, they saw our Facebook ad, they clicked, they called us, for example, we got them on the phone, we got them in for a free trial class. Now what? Okay, How do we grow? How do we now, instead of having 200 members, how do we sign up for the free trial and move on to that next step, that next step, that next step? And I'm not going to talk too much about this because I'm not living and breathing in the gymnastics. And I think Nicole talks a lot about this too, is what is that experience like for the person that walks in your door? So when they have that free trial class, what does that look like? Is it, what are the child ratios? What is the coach like? What is the program like? Is there lots of activity? Or the kids standing around? At the end of that 30-minute trial class, has that kid had the best time of their life, and where the parents can't sign them up, or there's no way they can't sign them up because their kid would be devastated? How do we make sure that that first experience is amazing? And so if you're a gym that maybe has struggling with retention, you're really good at getting people in the door, you can convert them really, but you're not actually growing because as soon as you sign somebody up, somebody else leaves. Then you need to look at, what does my program look like? What does my retention rate look like? What are the places in my gym that are failing me, that are making people leave? And that can be challenging because that can mean that your coach isn't good and you have to be like, you know what, I have to hire a new coach. It could mean that you need air conditioning because your gym is so hot and it's unbearable. People are having a good time no matter what bouncy houses or trampolines you have. So you have to start thinking about, what is that experience? What is the user experience like in my programming to ensure that when I get somebody in the door, that they're staying for months, years, a lifetime, okay? And it basically is, how do we keep our customers happy, especially in that first initial phase? And when I say customers, you have to think about the customer is not just the child, it's really the parent. So the child is the end user, but the parent is the person that's paying the money every month. So do they think that their investment is worth it? If they're paying $50, what are they getting for that $50? Is it really terrible communication? Is it a coach that's late? Is it a really hot gym that needs air conditioning? What is that experience? So if their investment makes sense. And also, if the kid's having an amazing, amazing time, that dollar amount doesn't really matter in the reality. Parents will find a way to make that investment if it's going to make their kids happy. So thinking about, what am I making my customers happy when they get in the door? Okay. And I've talked about this. At every point, we have to have a hard look in the mirror and say, am I doing everything I can to attract customers, convert them, and turning them into lifetime customers? And if at any point I'm failing at those areas, we have to look at that and say, how do I make this better? We have to ask those tough questions. Why are people not staying? Okay, what are the areas that I can identify? Is it the coach? Is it the experience? What are those things? And say, okay, I have to fix this. And it might be tough sometimes, but if you really want to achieve those goals of hitting 1,000 members, for example, you're gonna have to ask tough questions. And you're gonna have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, is my message resonating with the people I want to attract? If I just write something on a headline, is that resonating with people? Am I writing an ad or a Facebook ad or a flyer that resonates with someone that has never even heard of gymnastics before? Or maybe has no idea that preschool programs are a thing at gymnastics? And you have to put on the lens of someone that knows nothing about you, which is really, really hard because we live and breathe in our gyms every single day. But I have to assume that the person that sees that message knows nothing. So how am I communicating with them? And when I get in the door, what is that experience like? Okay. Bonus, last thing, nurturing. Your most important or easiest sell is to your current membership. So this kind of ties into that long-term retention. What is your strategy around getting somebody in, but keeping them and then getting them to do other things in your gym? So every preschooler in your gym, how are you getting them to sign up for your summer camp? What is your strategy there? How are you incentivizing them to sign up for the next thing or the next thing and the next thing? Do you just have them sign up for a class and then you never communicate to them again? Do you have an email marketing strategy? Do you have maybe a yearly sibling discount that you offer them. What is the way that you are nurturing your current membership? Because if your current membership is having a great time, one, they're going to come back, but they're going to do more and more things, and they're also going to be people that are going to be out advocating for you in the community. They're going to be the people that are saying, blank gym is the best place for your child to blank. So the better you are at nurturing your current base, that's going to be the best thing for your long-term growth. When we look at it from an e-commerce, like people that's, for example, we have a client that sells jewelry. We have a very specific campaign strategized, built, that's hitting people that have already bought from them before. We're upselling, we're cross-selling, we're promoting, we're showing them new arrivals. And they are our strongest customer base because they know who we are, they know what we're about, and now we're just offering them something different. So thinking about how am I nurturing, and some of you might be doing a really good job of this, but if you're struggling with that retention, it's time to look at that nurture, and how are we nurturing all the people within our gym. So there's a lot more in this and a lot more things that we need to look at in each of these pieces. So hopefully that gives you kind of a good overview of those pillars. And I think the main takeaway is you have to take a step back and ask some tough questions about who you are, and what you're selling, and what's your message, what's your image, what's your process for conversion, what are all those things. And oftentimes we don't really ask those tough questions, and that's the biggest obstacle is ourselves. If we know we have a retention problem, but we have a coach that's okay, but we're afraid to hire somebody better, that's going to damage your gym long term. So you have to ask those tough questions, and you have to face those things and make tough decisions. If you're attracting only competitive athletes, but you really want to attract recreational, why? Ask the question, why is this happening? What is the message? What is the image? How am I attracting these people? And you have to make some adjustments, and oftentimes that's really tough to do. But for the long term, if we really want to be on track to achieving our goals and growing the way we want to grow, we have to ask those tough questions. So I think that's the last thing, and really nurturing who we are, our gyms, and getting us on the way towards our goals for 2019. So that's all I have for today. If you have questions about any of those pieces, and maybe you've created a Facebook ad and you're struggling with how to put your image and your message together, let me know. We can set up an audit. We can review that with you, and identify some of those pieces. And one thing we didn't talk about is, once they click on your ad, what does your website look like? What does that landing page look like? What is the experience? Is the ad and the website resonating together? Maybe your ad's about preschool, but you send it to a landing page about competitive gymnastics. There's clearly a disconnect there. So you have to think about all those different steps, all those different pieces, until you get them into that conversion process. Okay, so that's it for me. Comment below if you have questions or you want more information. And for those of you that want a free audit, comment and tag me below, and we'll get that sorted for you.